And I believe we are live, and I'm going to do a quick test to make sure this is working because I want to make sure it's going through OBS properly. I'm going to hop on here. Give me one moment, everybody. Let's just make sure this is working. I believe it is. You might get a slight echo for just a moment. We experience a slight delay. So everybody, please remember there will be about a 1 minute delay. And it is working. And I believe we are okay in exciting 720p. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all genders, I am excited tonight to have this live stream. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I almost thought it wasn't going to happen this afternoon when I got a text and was asked to come into work tonight. While I was standing in the middle of Walmart, I almost had a panic attack and told I could take the shift if I could be out and home by 12 o'clock to get this up and going. And so she agreed to it. She did some shuffling around. And so at 11 o'clock, I rushed home, ate something really quick, made a cup of tea, which I've got going here, and came downstairs and got all this set up. And I think everything is working all right. I hope it is. Touch wood that everything goes well tonight. Tonight, I am going to have my regulars on tonight, which, excuse me, that would be Enrique and Vince should be back in on tonight. I believe Vince is. I'll double check with Enrique once he's ready to go. And they should be on in about 15 minutes or less, if depending on when Enrique is ready. I'm going to send him the link in just a moment here. I've set up something new with OBS, so I think it creates a bit of a delay, and as you can see, it's not the best quality, but I think I have a little bit better setup, and you'll see me glancing upwards every once in a while because in order to do this right, I've set it up with a second monitor, and my second monitor is it's an old television that is way up above my desk, but it's the only way I could arrange this for now. And hello, Frank. We got Frank in here tonight. Hey, good to see you, my friend in Maple. How are you? Frank, maybe one of these days we'll get you on here too. Frank is a good friend from who I met through another channel who is my guest tonight, which is Joshua Kemble. He is an author and an illustrator, and he wrote this book here behind me, Jacob's Apartment, and he's going to be in and we're going to talk about that. So let me just get my link out and make sure I can do this right. And let's see if I can make sure this is broadcasting properly. And I think Josh is actually set to go. I'm gonna send it to Enrique here first. And I just sent him the link. Here is your link. The same link with you can share that with Vince. Oops. And we got some person. Hey, some person is in there. Well, hello. I remember you also from Josh's chat. We may get Josh's gang in here for a little bit, which would be really nice. That would kind of help my channel a bit. It's good to see you. I'm just sending my link to Josh, and I'll just wait for them to appear. Oh, I got them right here. This is such a great setup. This is going to work so much better. I'm glad I'm doing this. Although the quality does not look quite as good, but I can control things better now that I've got it going through OBS. I think I can also do breaks here once in a while too if I need to. I can have a be right back sign that can pop up. But we'll wait till see who comes in here first, and then we can rock and or roll. See who else we got. How is everyone doing tonight? Frank is just dropping in. Hoping to stay for a little bit because we do have Josh coming in, and you'll get to meet Enrique, who is also an artist from out west. I believe he's also from California, and Enrique has a he has a really good YouTube channel where he teaches drawing. It's specifically more aimed at kids, but it's a really good channel. And I always say it's 101 things to draw. It's easy things to draw. I always say it wrong, but I believe if you go look for Enrique at Easy Things to Draw, to adjust the camera a little bit, you can go check out his work there. And he has a really good. He's got some of his more detailed work on Instagram, and maybe I'll get him to come in and share that. I should start putting these on screen. I'll make sure the links are put below. If you ever want to check out the work, I'll add them after the stream. But Enrique is really amazing. His stuff is so incredibly detailed. He does a lot of things like dinosaurs and monsters and that kind of thing. But and I've watched his work progress from when I first started talking to him a few years ago till today, and his detail on the stuff is absolutely incredible. But tonight we're actually going to be talking with Joshua. Joshua, who wrote a book called Jacob's Apartment. I did a little video for him earlier today, and I had to shoot it twice because I started calling it Josh's Apartment instead of Jacob's Apartment. I was like, wait, nope, I've got to reshoot that. So let me just flip over. I'm going to see where they are. And I got to get used to this, flipping my mouse between screens. He's in there, and he's waiting, ready to go. And I got to close that. I'm just yakking away and killing time. Enrique is also he's got his link. Hopefully those are working. We'll see who pops in here first. Unfortunately, I don't tap dance or anything like that, so I can't kind of do the Johnny Carson thing while waiting. But, my office is still a mess. This will eventually be changing. I'm looking forward to, in about 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to have a fantastic new background set up. This will become sort of a storage area, and then we will have I'm going to have a whole new studio set up upstairs in my apartment. I'm going to take the whole living room area, and it will be converted into a full studio that will be over twice the size of this room, because I really don't need a living room. But there's actually going to be some chairs put in there, and it's going to be real cozy, and it'll be a workspace. And I can kind of keep supplies down in here. This will be more of like, I'll have a table set up I can do to cut paper, etc. And I think we have somebody here. All right, I think we're ready to go. We have our guest tonight. I'm going to let him introduce himself. He is Mr. Joshua Kemble.
Hey, Philip. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm really stoked about the commercial you did. That was very cool. I ran it on stream tonight.
Yeah, thank you. You know, you want to know something funny? I couldn't really say anything at the time, but as I was rushing home, I grabbed my phone and I opened it just as you were starting it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He actually is. So I did see it. I couldn't reply. I had my keys in one hand, my phone in the other. I needed to get home and eat something quick and wash up and kind of get this all put together. So
yeah, well, it was awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. I
Yeah.
Shot it late last night and then edited it really quickly this afternoon.
That's great. That's great. Well, it came out good. It came out really good.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. I know you've got a lot of work to do, so I won't keep you too long.
No problem. Yeah, I'm here for the long haul. So
okay, well, you know, it's up to you however long you can stay. If you can only do like half an hour, or if you want to stay later, that's cool too.
Cool.
Some of your regulars are coming over here, so
oh, nice. That's good.
Great. We'll bring some people over, so
that's really good.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my friend Enrique to hop in.
Hey, we got Frank in the chats. How's it going, Frank Salazar of Salazar Art Nation, aka the Tarocco Creative Cast? How you doing, buddy?
Well, friend in Maple. I got your book all set up here as well, so that you can talk a bit about that.
Awesome. Yeah. Should I kind of talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I was gonna. I am just waiting for Enrique to pop up, so I can let you go ahead and start.
No worries.
He said he might be a little bit late. He might actually not be until 12, but I figure you can at least start. Maybe introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do, and I might have to interrupt you quickly when he shows up. So, but I'll let you know.
No problem, man. It's your show. So,
Right.
okay. Cool. So I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been a professional graphic designer and illustrator for about like 20 years. I've been a professional art director for about 8. And when I'm not art directing or doing, graphic design and illustration for clients, I'm often doing these crazy graphic novels. Graphic novels like Two Stories, which is a autobiographical story about faith and mental illness, and it kind of documents my process, basically dealing with massive depression, suicidal ideation, and some really heavy topics. These are not for kids. These are not stories for kids. But this one's black and white. It's all hand lettered and hand inked and hand illustrated, and that's was my first graphic novel. And then this year I just released Jacob's Apartment, which is a coming of age doomed romance story that is sort of like if you took Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, and you kind of put it in a blender with Ghost World, and you like the flavor of that, like this type of story would be interesting to you. It follows these two roommates and their sort of crisis of identity as they're both pursuing dreams in the sleeping and the waking world. And the sleeping and waking world start kind of interweaving and overlapping. And it's a really cool story. I'm really proud of it. It's published by Graphic Mundi. And you can get this at pretty much any bookstore or library. Just request that they order it. So from Diamond. Nice. So yeah, that's my stuff. That's what I do. And then I often do like live streams on my main channel, just as joshuakemble.com. That's my website. And then Joshua Kemble on YouTube, Kemble, and I'll pop up. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you guys can follow me there. Yeah. Was that an okay intro?
That was awesome.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
For actually a moment there, I forgot that I'm so used to you talking on your stream. I forgot this is mine now.
Nice. Yeah, I've had that same thing happen on Artcasters where, we've had some artists on that, like I've listened to. And then there's this surreal thing when you're actually talking to them because it's like, oh, wait, I'm used to just kind of listening to this person. So, yeah, I've definitely gotten that same thing. Yeah.
I was hoping tonight maybe we could ask you some questions because I know it's stuff that you and I have talked about before, but I thought for the sake of the channel and for the live stream tonight, I thought maybe ask you just a few questions about the process of writing and illustrating a book. Something you talked about, I know a little bit before, is maybe the difference between self-publishing and going through a publishing company. Mm-hmm. And maybe what if somebody's looking to write or illustrate their own comic or graphic novel for the first time, what sort of advice you can kind of throw to that person, and what
oh man, the best advice I could give is just to do it, because like there, like for me, I spent, like, when I was a younger artist, I spent like years of my life like trying to kind of do the perfect page, like forever. So I would do like page 1 of a comic and then never get any further than page 1. And it was like I kept kind of waiting for this period of time to happen where, like, I don't know, I almost had this like fantasy that like some editor would just come and be like, yeah, you come, like, go ahead and make your book. And that never happened. And then I started to realize, like, the more I thought about it, that like the way you make comics is just to make a comic, like, or children's book or illustrated book, whatever it is. The way it gets done is just like sitting down and doing it. And then you kind of let the chips fall where they will from there. Like, you try to get, like a publisher, or if you don't get interest from a publisher, you just self-publish. But I think a lot of the times illustrators and graphic designers, like, we are waiting for approval from somebody. And that would be my biggest piece of advice. That would be, just don't wait for approval. Don't wait for like some guy in a suit to say like, oh, hey, you've made it. Because that's just like, even if that happens, like, and you haven't made your first book or whatever, then you're going to have to just go through all that pain of like a first book without like with a publisher, which could actually be worse like than just having no publisher. So so that's my first piece of advice, is like just to do it, because I think a lot of the times we delay and get concerned or like overly perfectionistic about like the result. At least I know I do.
Right. Yeah.
And so just doing it is like step one. Step two is like, you know, I think I wish I had known this earlier on, but I'd say like getting a literary agent, if it's possible, would be really good, especially if you're doing children's books or comic, like graphic novels. Like literary agents are really great because they can kind of get you through the middleman. There's this big challenge of graphic designers and illustrators where it's like you don't want to be in the slush pile, right? And this is an old school term. Philip's probably familiar with it. For like people who are watching who are like younger than Philip or myself, you probably won't know what the slush pile is. But basically, back in the day when you were doing illustration, graphic design, animation, anything, everything was done by mail. And so you would print up these like promotional postcards and send them out like, you know, quite often you'd get like the Illustrators Market books or something, and you'd find like every art director's address in whatever industry you wanted to do, and you'd send out these like printed mailers. And so when you'd send them out, like there was this dreaded place called the slush pile, which was just basically like the mail sorter for a company before it even got to the art director would just put it in this pile of 1 million cards. You know, nowadays it's pretty much that, but with email. And it is really hard to pitch your work to a publisher. And then the kinds of publishers that you can get with a literary agent are significantly different and a much higher caliber of publisher through a literary agent than you can from yourself. And even the publishers that take, you know, independent submissions, even the publishers that take like independent submissions and stuff, like they are they're always like much more impressed and much more likely to work with you if you have a literary agent. So it's kind of a win-win. The downside is submitting to a literary agent is very much similar to submitting to a publisher. It's hard to get a literary agent to bite and be interested in your work. And then to get a literary agent who's interested in representing you for more than just one book, that also is really tough. But that's why it comes down to the first thing of just doing it, because you're going to have a hard pressed time getting a literary agent if you don't have a finished piece or a finished novel or a finished book that you're trying to kind of promote and make. So
I got to interrupt real quick because we have one, because there is 2 more people coming, and I'm still waiting for Enrique. We've also got another friend of his, Vince,
awesome,
who was just waiting in the sideline. So I'm just going to bring him in, and then we can continue here. So
I love it.
Add Vince in.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Vince, how you doing, man?
Doing well, doing well. How's it going, Joshua? How you doing,
good,
Phil? Good to see you.
Nice.
All right. So Vince is I've just gotten to know Vince a little bit myself. He's a longtime friend of Enrique, and we're still waiting for Enrique to come in. I think he's going to be a few more minutes still.
Awesome.
Yeah, he should be in a couple of seconds here.
Yeah, okay.
How you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah,
nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Exhausted, man.
Did you catch any of the beginning of this, or
say again?
Did you catch any of the beginning at all? Or?
Oh no, I was I just heard the last like couple of minutes when Joshua was talking about publishing, which is actually really interesting to me.
Awesome. Yeah.
Josh, I've wanted to get Josh in here for a little while. He produced, wrote and illustrated the book, which I have behind me here, Jacob's Apartment. So I kind of thought I'd have him on tonight and talk a little bit about the process of putting together a book like this and what's all involved, and you know, for people if they want to look into getting their work published. And there's Enrique. Give me 1 second. And he blipped away. He was there and he's gone.
We got the full cast. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Full house. 1 second. Enrique, there he is.
What up, man?
Hey, what's
Enrique.
up?
How you doing?
How's it going? Hey, Josh. How's it
Good.
going?
Pretty good.
What's it called? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear
Actually,
you fine.
you've got a really nice connection tonight. You're super clear as opposed to last week.
Yeah.
Internet issue.
I changed the Wi-Fi, so I think hopefully it'll be better,
All right.
like the whole way
Fingers
through.
crossed.
How are you guys?
Awesome.
Good, man.
Good.
I like that
Top-
Mario question box right behind you. That's pretty
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Thanks. How's the trouble with getting the stuff online?
Getting online.
Yeah. 'Cause I know
Getting
you-
everything set up. Everything's I got it good actually. I've got it worked out now so that with the second monitor, you'll see me looking up every once in a while because I have an old TV up here that I'm using as a second monitor. But this way now, I feel like I can go in and change and do things without interrupting the screen at all. So,
Oh, nice.
so it's a much
That's fine. You put it
smoother
together, man.
experience.
It's good stuff.
So,
That's rad.
but since you guys hopped on, we can start and if Enrique and Vince can maybe introduce yourselves a little bit and
Oh, sure. You want to go first, Enrique? Or?
to reintroduce
yeah,
yourself again?
I'm sure. I'm Enrique. I run the YouTube channel Easy Pictures to Draw, which is I guess the biggest one, and then I run a bunch of other ones. I was a caricature artist. I worked at a movie studio called I don't even remember the name. Man, sorry, my brain's not working. But yeah, that's about it. Bunch of art stuff. There you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cannot remember.
Yeah, it's similar. I'm kind of on like a different side. I'm more of like a print design. I'm a director of graphic services for a print company called Sortis USA, and I also do like graphic design and illustrations and stuff like that too. Primarily with like Adobe Illustrator and stuff like that.
Nice. Sounds similar to my day job.
Yeah, yeah. What is your day job?
So I'm an art director for a souvenir company called Pinnacle Designs. They do stuff for like a bunch of national parks and stuff like that. And whatever I say on this show does not represent the opinions of Pinnacle Designs. I just thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, that's my day job.
Yeah,
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, man.
So I invited Josh on because he wrote and illustrated the book I've set up here behind me, Jacob's Apartment, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to have him on and kind of just discuss a bit about the process of getting a book written and illustrated and published. And we were talking a little bit about the difference between getting going through a publisher as opposed to self-publishing your own work.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm all ears, man.
So
yeah, I heard a couple of minutes. I was like, yeah, let's hear some more of this. You know?
Nice. Yeah, so like the literary agent thing I was talking about, that's something I wish I had known more about. And it's like it kind of ties into a thought that I have about like artists in general. Like we often forget to think of ourselves as businesses. And so we always fall into pitfalls when we stop remembering that we're a business. And similarly, like quite often, like even though a lot of us want to write and illustrate our own work, we rarely think of ourselves as writers. And so like when we approach like publishers that are publishing writers, we don't approach it right because we're thinking about it like from an artist standpoint instead of from a writer or a creator standpoint. And so like if you kind of step back and realize like you're a business, you're a writer, you know, like if you're writing your own kids' books or writing your own books, and just like any writer, like, you know, if I went on like any random website and said, what's the first thing I should do if I want to get published as a writer? It'd be like, write the thing. That's first. Like you have to write the thing. You have to have a thing to pitch. And then the second is get a literary agent. That's like every writer knows that. But like, I didn't know that, and I'm glad that I did that. That's when I started seeing momentum with my career, was when I got a literary agent finally, instead of trying to kind of go around and see what's going on.
What's
on
a literary
Sorry,
agent?
My son's just like kind of cruising out in the hallway after his bedtime. So give me like 2 seconds. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no problem.
What's up, bud?
I was
I think I was about to ask a similar question, Enrique.
Yeah, I was curious
like-
what a literary agent is. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I had to
And
ask
like how
him.
we can try to
Went
do
and kind of re-explain it.
I love you.
I was I got to I originally started talking to Josh online, but he actually went to
Sorry.
that.
what would you call it? It was a comic show. I was telling you where I met you at the comic
Yeah, TCAF. Yeah.
TCAF,
Yeah, it
Toronto
was awesome.
Comic International Festival. But Enrique and Vince were asking about literary agent, what exactly that is.
So a literary agent's kind of like you guys have probably heard of like artist reps, right? Where like
Yeah.
it's like a rep who like takes a percentage, like they'll get you like a good example. Like I have a friend who does storyboarding, and he's repped by Famous Frames, and I think they take like 15% of whatever they get him. But the catch is, you're never gonna get the kind of clients that Famous Frames is going to get as an individual. Like you're just never going to get that. So that 15% ends up being like a drop in the bucket, because it's like you're getting paid like a much higher rate, and you're getting a higher caliber of client. It's kind of like that. Like literary agents are an agency that represents a writer, and they help you basically build your proposals. And then when you build proposals, then they shop those proposals around to different publishers, and usually in theory they're going to try to get like a bidding war going between publishers, so you end up with a better deal. And also they usually have a legal department, which is awfully helpful, because they're going to kind of help you kind of go through contracts and stuff with a fine-tooth comb to make sure they get a piece of it, so they're as invested in it succeeding and making a lot of money as you are. And so so that's a literary agent, but they're kind of hard to get, but they're not as, again, like I really do think if you're looking to like seriously get into especially children's books or graphic novels, and especially if you're doing like all ages stuff, that's a route I wish I had known more about. Yeah.
Where do you get it then? I guess you just said it was they're hard to get, you say?
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, so for me, it's like a lot of things in art. Like I bet if I asked you guys about how you ended up like with your career in art, there's all these kind of like it always has the commonality of like you work really hard. That's number one. But then number two is usually like weird circumstances. So for me, I have a friend who is like a best-selling author, who I've known since like we were in punk bands like back in our teens, and I just tweeted out like I had finished my first graphic novel, and I sent out a tweet saying like, hey, should I just self-publish this thing? What do you guys think? And instantly, like, he retweeted it and said somebody needs to represent this guy, and I got a call within like 5 minutes of his tweet of a rep. Well, it was a little longer than 5 minutes, because they had checked out my stuff and were like, oh my gosh, I read this story, it's great, like we need to get it a publisher, like can we represent you? And that's how it worked for me. It's usually not that easy. But the traditional way I would recommend would be the same way you'd find like an artist rep. So what you do is like look at, I don't know if you guys do comics or children's books or whatever, but if you're doing like children's books, you'd want to look at like children's book writers and like who their representative is. Because usually on their website, they're just going to say like, my writing is represented by this person. And then you just contact that person. Maybe you contact a couple people who are represented by them and say like, how do you like your literary agent? Are you happy with them? And if they are, then like you can contact the literary agent. That person is going to be easy to kind of find, because usually they're agencies that are seeking artists. So that's pretty much how I would do it. I just reverse engineer it from like people you like. So, like if
makes sense.
And you may not end up with like a literary agent that's like the huge rock star literary agent. Like I don't think I'd end up getting the same like literary agent as like Adrian Tomine or something. But it's like, that's how you can kind of do it. But even for literary agents, you kind of have to have your ducks in a row for like your story. Like you need to have like a proposal for the literary agent, you know? So like a pitch. There's a lot of like guides online that can kind of walk you through how you'd build a proposal for a literary agent, but it's usually starts with like, you're pretty much just telling them everything that would be on the book. Like, so your proposal, like my proposal for Jacob's Apartment looks a heck of a lot like that, like the back matter of the book. Like, in fact, that might actually be straight from my proposal. So you're kind of writing the back part of the book that you'd want. It's like the teaser that's supposed to get the person interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
How much, when you go through something like that, do they make suggestions, or do they tell you things to change in your book, or like, is there much interference as far as your creativity? Like what?
Your agent does give you suggestions. It depends on which agent you're working with. Like my literary agent, basically like proofread. That's most of what my literary agent would do.
Right.
She definitely gave her suggestions were more on the proposal end. So like once I had a piece that I wanted to shop around, it's like a good example, like the book I'm working on now. I ended up, like, my sister actually had a screenplay that I thought was brilliant and would make a good graphic novel, and we kind of pitched it to my literary agent, and then she and Keeley, my literary agent, like they moved back and forth on like edits of the script to kind of get it condensed and a lot tighter. And then they built a proposal with me doing the art and stuff, and we kind of worked it together. But the literary agent they do help you out. They don't tend to be. I think if you have a good one, like it's not like bad feedback, it's like good feedback, like where it's like, hey, like I think if you punch up this part of the sentence in your proposal, like that's going to be more appealing. But you're trying to kind of build a thing that they feel comfortable sending to like Random House and Scholastic and like all the big publishing houses, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it absolutely does to me.
Yeah.
What is that relationship like? Have you ever had like a situation where it's kind of like I kind of want to keep this in, as opposed to them as like here, or nothing like that?
Not really. I think some of that might be just like my age, because like when I was younger, I was a lot more kind of defensive about good advice. But as I've gotten older, and especially Vince, you'll get this because you manage other artists, I think, right? So it's like, you realize this when you're managing other artists, like you tell them things they need to fix. Like it sucks, but you just have to fix it. It's just not working. Like those colors clash, or like that typeface is like not working, or like there's a tangent in your drawing. Like, so it's like, because of that, I haven't really had any like butting heads or conflict. And so far my experience with editors has been really good. Like where, like on Jacob's Apartment, my book editor for that had like one suggestion, and it wasn't even really a suggestion. It was like a question. And it was such an insightful question that I ended up tying like this loose thread in the story that I had been thinking about for years. I couldn't figure out how to resolve it. And her question just led me to the resolution for that like big story problem, which was like, that's awesome. So I haven't really had any. Yeah, I haven't had any overbearing editors. I think it's different when it's work for hire. You know, like if you're doing work for hire, you just kind of make the changes they tell you to make, and that's it. But when you're the writer yourself,
there's no ego in it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Bill, could you bring that the book closer so we can get a better look at it?
Yeah, I can. Do we just set it up closer, or just bring it up? And
Is there a way that you could set it up closer? Because it looks really interesting, like in the background there. But I'm like, it's very eye catching.
Send the PDF.
Yeah, it's sitting next to Roby the robot there. Hold on.
You make it.
Oh shit! Okay, you put it right on the screen.
Let me use like Jedi magic.
Oh, it's awesome.
Nice.
Wait, Phil, he already has it up.
Oh, okay. Nice.
A little bit of glare, but hopefully that so it doesn't fall off.
There's another. Oh no! Oh my goodness, my covers are appearing everywhere.
Wait, Wait, how many of these are there? How many do you have so far? How much have you published, or just one, two, three?
So I've published a lot. Like I've done a lot of.
Sure.
I've been a freelancer for about 20 years. I've been doing illustration and graphic design. So I've done a lot of work for hire books, but these are the two that I've finished. You know,
Okay.
Basically, 2 stories and Jacob's Apartment. Those are my 2 books.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's an amazing accomplishment. Like to do one.
Thank you.
Let
Yeah.
like two, you know.
So that's the hard part. Like the hard part is just doing the work. There are some tips I could give that are like basic things. Like, so when you're starting, especially with comics, like you just have to make the comic, like before anyone's going to take you seriously. Like a 5-page proposal, if you have no published comics, isn't going to mean anything to a publisher. So you kind of just need to like believe in the story and just do it. The catch that I would say is really research your standard book sizes. That's a big thing, because let's say you invest all this time into this beautiful children's book and it's a strange paper size. That's going to be less appealing for a publisher. And then if a publisher picks it up, you might end up going through the nightmare of having to reformat. In comics, like reformatting can be a nightmare because you have to put a lot of thought into like creative paneling and layout, you know.
Yeah.
So Jacob's Apartment was a pretty easy pitch because the book was 6x9. And so it's like, that's a standard size. They ended up going a little bigger, but it was, luckily to scale. But 6x9 is like a standard sheet cut at a printer. So, the printers all come up with their sizing. I mean, Vince, you probably know this, but it's like a lot of the sizing of books is based on how many cuts they can get per giant sheet.
Yeah, try to maximize.
Yeah, without any waste. And so like all of our standard paper sizes come from that. And 6x9 is like a real nice, comfortable book size that is a standard book size. There's the comic book size, which I always forget. It's like 7 point something by 10 point something. And then the other one's just 8.5 by 11. So they were easy sells in the sense that it's like, these are standard book sizes,
Okay. Yeah,
Nice.
That's really interesting. That's something that was always like in the back of my mind, but it's like, oh, that's so obvious, but it's like something that you could totally miss like during the artistic process.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I've known people who've like gotten publishing deals for books they had finished. Like they're like hundreds of pages for graphic novels, and they have to reformat the whole thing because they picked an odd paper size. Yeah. So. Yeah, you want to keep in mind, like, basic print stuff too, like safe areas, bleeds. Go with like a standard. You probably want to leave like 1/4 of an inch from your cut edge, and like, about 1/8 of an inch for your bleed size. But yeah, like that's. But the main thing I'd say is like just try to make a beautiful book. Like I think a lot of people kind of try to work out all the details and stuff and can kind of end up in limbo, just sort of looping and trying to like eventually like when this certain day comes, I'll make a book or whatever. But it's like, the time is now to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. So it's very interesting. The kind of to touch on what you had said before, it's like from my personal experience being like on like the electronic kind of like graphic design illustration side of it, and then now being like 10 plus years of experience with like print industry and stuff like that, knowing those two sides is so interesting, because when you're younger it's like I'm gonna put all these effects and colors and things like that, and then when you get on the print side it's like, well, this size, this file is like 2 gigs. Like I can't open it. The printer can't open it. Like the colors are falling out. The effects are falling out. The effects are like killing my computer right now. There's so many things that you don't think about until you're on that. Like it's interesting how it's like 2 different sides.
Oh yeah, especially with Illustrator files where it's like, because art directing too, if we're using other like customer assets or something. It's like shocking how many times you'll open something that has like a million gradients on it, and it's like and maybe it was built on like a really ancient version of Illustrator, so when you open it, it's like done that boxing of everything. So now you have to clean up you know, like this mess that the
Right.
yeah,
It's like two colors and it's like taking 5 minutes to move, you know.
Yeah, do clean file setups, guys. Like when you're doing your layers too, like if you're gonna send those layers to the printer, like consolidate, simplify. Like yeah.
Absolutely, man. Like I feel like it's something I haven't seen, like at least on like YouTube or something. I think something like that would be really useful, like a weekly, like you just take a file that's like really bad and it's like, you know, this is how you can like clean it up or something like that. I think that would be really helpful for people.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I wish somebody. It took me years, you know, in graphic design before I realized like the appearance palette is like your best friend when it comes to cleaning stuff up. That and the group selection tool on Illustrator. It's like those two, because if you don't use the group selection tool, you got to start digging into all the sub layers.
Oh, right.
No,
and that could be thousands, depending on what you're working on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that your landlord, Phil?
What's that? No, actually, a friend of mine just suddenly tried to call. Like, can you give me just about 1 minute here?
Yeah,
not a problem, man.
I'm gonna. You guys, keep chatting. I might see if I can.
I'm just listening because I know very little about print and that kind of thing, you know. So and I never had ambitions to make a comic or anything. So it's like it's super fascinating. Maybe like it's making me want it just hearing it.
Yeah, man. Like this is like it feels like one of those like perfect timing type of things that we're like talking about this stuff because as Enrique knows, like I have this like this comic idea. It's Little Bitty is the name of it, and like I did like marketing, I did like a website and stuff like that. Like I did like an Instagram, and like I had, you know, there was like a lot of problems like being like consistent like posting and stuff like that. I always had like I mean I still do have plans to like publish and things like that, but one of the things that I read into is like I was just writing it kind of like stream of consciousness and like just putting it out, like just like putting it out just to be like consistent and, you know, to maintain with like the algorithm and things of that sort. But then I got to a point where it's like, oh, I can't do it this week. And it's like, okay, I don't know where the story is going now. It's like, I don't know what the point is. I still want to do this, but I need like, I had to stop and like kind of script it and like screenwrite it a little bit more, you know, because like there's so much more to it than I thought, you know. It's like I was coming in, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and they're like, writers, right, and all this stuff. But it's like there's so much stuff that you have to think about to make like a coherent story and make something that like people are gonna like listen to and kind of like latch on to. You know, it's very interesting, like the nuance of like storytelling.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of brought that up because like that's actually another piece of advice I'd give because when it's weird, this was my second book that I did, but it was the first one I had published, and then this was actually my first graphic novel. So the difference between the two, Jacob's Apartment, I had come up with like a rough story arc, and then I just kind of wrote it as I went. And after doing that, I realized that I don't do that well. Like it was more work making it work than it would have been to just have pre-scripted the whole thing. So on two stories, when I sat down to kind of work on that, I realized like I'm gonna draft out a script. I'm gonna treat this almost like it's like, I mean, we all learn how to write, you know, in school, like. And if you're writing like an essay or whatever, you usually like, if you had to write an essay for class, you're usually going to like show it to a friend or to a parent or somebody who's going to give you feedback, and you do a second revision and you do revisions to kind of make a thing that's really good. And we all learned that in school. But again, like it's that thing where as creatives, we almost forget like when we're writing, we're being a writer. Right. Instead of like, okay, so now I'm not an illustrator, I'm a writer at this point. And so that helped me a lot was kind of treating the writing like with the respect that it needs. And so doing all the dirty work of like a story structure with a clear, coherent, like beginning, middle, and end. Probably, I think I followed like the hero's journey arc, and then basically broke down all my plot points, and then did a draft of an entire script, and then from that, like, got it edited by trusted friends, like people I know who are really critical and really good writers, or at least really good readers. And then just did like 3 or 4 rough drafts before I went to work on, page 1 of that. And it was a much smoother process because of it. So I would recommend that too. It depends. Some people can write as they go. But I found that like having the script first and then kind of treating it like almost like I'm my own client, where it's like when I get my script, like, man, I don't know why I'm such a bad client to myself, because it's like, oh, why did I have a crowd scene here? But when it, I think keeping that like separation where you have writer you and then artist you is a really good idea. So I think that's pretty smart, Vince, because I ended up having to do that with Jacobs as well, where it's like I got like maybe 3/4 of the way through it, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta sit and like really work this thing out. Yeah.
Josh, do you read One Piece? Do you watch like One Piece, or you watch any anime or anything?
I
like
love
that?
One Piece. Yeah, I mean, I haven't read it, but I love
the story ever told, man. Yeah. But I just mentioned that because Ichiro Oda, he like is famously stated that he wrote the end of it first. Like nobody knows how it ends except for him and like his editors and stuff like that. But like he had no idea like how long it would be. Like One Piece is like a story that's been told for like 20 years now.
Yeah.
Like over like I think like 1,500 chapters or something like that, and it's all good. It's all killer content as far as I'm concerned. And the lore is like insane. Like there's characters that come in at episode 300, and then like in episode 800 they turn back up, and it's like, hey, I remember that guy. Like that. Like for me, that's like the pinnacle. And it's like I know I'm not alone in saying that. Like that's like such a huge inspiration, like to kind of create your own story and to kind of like get your ideas out there and stuff like that. But just like I don't think he anticipated it to be as long as it is. But it's like here we are, like year 22, and he's still like writing these stories. It's amazing, man. And it's still quality,
I love that. I think there's a story about Dave Sim when he was like starting Cerebrus, and I can't remember how many pages he said he was going to do, but it was something like him just saying, and he's a guy who'd like never drawn comics, and he was just like, I'm going to make this comic book, and I'm going to do about 3,000 pages. I think it was something like that. And then he actually did it. Like he just actually achieved it. Like a couple years ago, I think he finally like achieved the whole thing that he had said he was going to do. And it's like insane. But yeah, that is always inspiring when people can just like do it. But the key thing I'd also say is like, let's see. So Vince, you were talking about like when you're doing a web comic, like having trouble kind of keeping up with the daily routine of it. This has helped me a lot. And this is when I started actually making finished books. Was I started doing like a goal every day. And so for a while I was like, I have to make 1 panel a day, period. Like I have to sit down and make 1 panel a day. And then for a while I also just made it, and because that didn't really work entirely, but it did help. I was making progress. But I kind of took that and was like, okay, I need to work for at least an hour a day, just 1 hour every day. And then that hour, that's pretty much my typical goal now, is like, I'll kind of have like, I'm going to at least sit down and do this for an hour. And then it usually very quickly becomes like 4 or 5 hours. Because once you sit and get into it, like, and you break that,
the artistry.
Like, yeah, because there's kind of like that trap where like if you don't sit down to do it, then you suddenly feel like uninspired and you're like, I don't know, like, and
might lose it.
Yeah. So I would say it's almost similar to working out, where it's like if you want to work out and be serious about working out, you have to kind of build a daily routine. And once you're like 3 months in and you have that daily routine built up, it's like it's almost hard to not work out, right? Like anybody who's done like workouts or whatever. Once you kind of get that 3 months in, like you've been consistent for 3 months, now you have a habit, and it's a good habit. So it's like same thing with art. I think especially for books and especially for comics, because comics take forever, you know. So it's like
I have a question. Do they help with the like the selling part, or how does that work?
That depends.
Oh.
Basically your best assumption is going to be no. So there's a catch. They do, but you're still going to want to do the legwork you would do for your own books. Like there's never a point like here's the way I kind of look at it. Like Neil Gaiman, right, has just released like on Netflix, they just put out The Sandman. Before that, they had like Coraline. I mean, he's a rock star, like that's
American
beyond beyond comics at this point. And yet he still goes on book tours, does signings, does radio appearances, right? So if Neil Gaiman has to do it, then I should expect that I'm going to have to do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because that guy doesn't have to do it. So why is he doing it? Well, he clearly, like, it doesn't hurt to like put your best effort into something succeeding, right?
Right.
But
what else are you doing, basically, you know?
Yeah. But the big hurdle that a publisher is going to help with is they do like, so depending on the publisher, like the bigger the publisher, the more this happens. They do kind of meet with librarians. They have a lot of networks with like librarian conventions, with like bookseller conventions. And they're doing a lot of hustling behind the scenes of that kind of nature. And then the other thing is they have usually got decent distribution. And that's the big benefit of a publisher versus self-publishing. Because self-publishing, let's say you do a Kickstarter, you know, and you get funded, you usually aren't going to have a lot of reach to like the people that weren't in the Kickstarter. So at most, you know, even the really wildly successful Kickstarters I see, it's maybe it's like a wild success and you have like 1,000 backers, which is rare, right? But it's a wild success. You get 1,000 backers. Well, you've sold 1,000 books at that point, probably. But those books are all to people on Kickstarter. And it's like, it's not like suddenly, you know, you're going to go to Barnes and Noble and see that book everywhere. It's not like that's going to spread it out to the entire country and put it in different stores and libraries and like different venues. So
the marketability of it.
Yeah. The big advantage of publishers is really the distribution networks, you know, because like they can get your book in stores, and that makes a big difference, even in people's perception. Because if somebody sees your book at like a Barnes and Noble, suddenly they view it as like an actual book, whereas like self-published, for some reason they have like a stigma against it, even though your book that's self-published might be more beautifully printed than the, you know, oh
wow,
it's like the New York Times bestseller. You thought that was like a mark of quality, but it's just like what people are reading, you know?
Well, and even that, like, so that's a good example, because like if you like, I haven't had a publisher as big, but I do have some friends who do stuff for like Simon and Schuster as children's books. And even for New York Times bestsellers, there's a certain pathway you have to go. It's kind of similar to the Oscars, where it's like there's a pathway you have to go. There's certain review sites you have to hit in order to even be on the radar of the New York Times. And so like if a publisher is really gunning for a New York Times bestseller, they're going to make sure they get reviews from like Forward, from oh my goodness, now I'm blanking out on the other on the other sites, but they're going to get you reviewed by like all the big review sites that are paid attention to by like the New York Times, and then it'll kind of usher it that way. But there's still a little bit of greasing of the wheels that has to happen, that like it's hard to do on your own, you know, without a publisher.
What do you do for it? I'm sorry, can you guys hear me? I took the microphone out.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, cool. what do you personally do? Do you you hit up conventions all the time, or do you do book signings and stuff, or?
I just do as much as I can. So like, it's a juggle because I'm working on illustrating a 230 page graphic novel right now. So I'm a lot of my free time is just working on that next book. And it's a historical fiction graphic novel about Elizabeth Barrett Browning called Not Death But Love: The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. But it's like historical fiction too, so it requires a lot of research and time. So what I do is just what I can. Like if I can send out a press release or something like that, I'll do it. If I can book an in-store signing, I'll do it. If I can, get a convention appearance or something like that, I'll do it. But it's all just kind of as much as I can balance with also hitting my deadline with my publisher,
Right.
But
Wow.
you really, that actually makes a big difference in whether you'll get a publisher or a literary agent too. A lot of what publishers and literary agents look for is they want to know you can hustle.
Absolutely.
Like if you're the most socially awkward person on the planet or something, and then you have the most beautiful artwork, the literary agent's going to be a little less likely to sign you because they'll just be like, well, I have to trust that this guy is going to be able to talk to a publisher, right? And deal with that with a collaboration. So the more you're kind of gung ho, and the bigger your social media following, all of that is a massive benefit for publishers,
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
it's ironic because it's a lot of people would think, okay, so then at that point, if you have a ton of social media followers, right, why even get a publisher, right? Some people would ask that, but at the end of the day, when you see guys like Jeff Smith who self-published Bone, and then now it's with Scholastic. It's why did he make that transition? Because he was selling crazy good numbers of Bone.
Yeah.
So there's something about having a publisher that most of these guys end up kind of getting with the publishing system because it's and I think a lot of it's distribution, fulfillment's a nightmare if you ever have to, release your own books. But yeah, although honestly, I will say this, there is no shame in self-publishing, and the work that goes behind self-publishing is very similar to the work that goes behind publishing. It's about the same. So you just would have trouble getting distribution, but yeah.
Hey Enrique, when you have the armadillo, did you do self-fulfillment when you were selling it?
So I sold a pencil case about 7 years ago. I still have some left over, and occasionally I'll still sell one here and there. But I think what I did was I ordered them in bulk from China because I was trying to figure out who the cheapest way to make them and make them so they weren't complete trash. But yeah, I did the China route. I was actually gonna, I don't know, I don't want to derail that, but I was gonna ask a question real quick. Is there money in publishing books, or is this just for the love of it? Is there just what I mean? Is there a big profit margin or?
I mean, it depends. It's I've made money, so that's that's good. But I'm not making what I make as an art director at all.
Okay.
The possibilities there. It depends. I mean, I guess I would say if you look at Dogman, that comic.
I think I heard of that.
Okay, so it's Dogman is one of the most popular. I think it might be the most popular book that Scholastic publishes, and it's a comic. And it's by the guy who created Captain Underpants, right?
Oh, that I know that.
I think the last time I looked up Dave Pilkey's net worth, it's 50 million. So yes, there's money in books.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess it varies wildly. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I have some good friends, the Fan Brothers, and they do a lot of children's books, and they will put out one book a year, and the book will pay for both of their life for a year.
Wow.
But they're
Great.
through Simon and Schuster, and
Mhm.
they lucked out in a sense because they had a really good literary agent, they had a really beautiful book, and then Simon and Schuster had decided like, oh, this is the book. Like they published a bunch of books, but they're like, we're putting all of our marketing guns on this book. So that doesn't happen for everybody. You'll notice this at a bookstore, right? Like not every book has like the big cardboard display stand and stuff.
Right.
But if they decide like that's the book, that can be very lucrative. It can be lucrative, and it definitely can make money. I've noticed that the two that I've put out so far, each time the money has like doubled. Like so, it's like two stories was like a very small advance. Which actually works really nice because I get like a bigger cut of the percentage of the books that are sold. So if you're going with an indie, make sure you're getting like a really good percent of the profit, especially if they're not giving an advance, right? And then Jacob's Apartment was like twice as much, and then now I'd say the one for West Margin, which is who's publishing, was like 4 times as much, and that's just with advance. So I have yet to know really. I know Jacob's Apartment is doing pretty well on sales lately, so I guess I'll find out. The catch with books is usually you can check in, but you never really know until you get that royalty statement, which is usually yearly. So
Okay. Wow.
so I'll know better in May. But I'll tell you,
Yeah.
2 stories paid out. Like it did. It was a nice check, but it wasn't like something I'm going to retire on,
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that answers a big question for me because I always wondered that.
Yeah,
I
but there,
suppose
the reality is like most books are not going to be making you like a yearly wage. Like that's just the nature of it because there's so many books published,
I would suppose if you didn't have your day job, so to speak, and you actually concentrated your whole day, all your time on maybe you had a second or third book going,
Yeah.
maybe over time. I mean, it would take a while for that snowball to build up. That's the only
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
But
and
imagine
it depends too on what like type of book you're writing. Like with comic books right now, like if you're doing like all ages books, there's a much higher percentage of like likelihood that you'll make pretty good money on it. So like all ages comics are like for graphic novels, they're just like they're where it's at for money, So like Raina Telgemeier, when she's doing like a Babysitter's Club book or like Smile, like she's seeing some serious money, like that you could probably get through a year pretty comfortably on, just for one book. But it takes quite a few books to get there.
Yeah.
But Phil's right. Like also you can kind of balance it by taking on a lot of books at the same time. But the downside, and this is the other thing, especially this is particular to comics, you kind of have to cut your teeth in self-publishing first usually. So that's what I did. Like I started by self-publishing and now I have publishers, and then like each publishing deal kind of ends up being like a step higher than the next,
Right. That's amazing.
Right. Levels. Yeah.
my roommate, he's done self-publishing for a long time, almost 20 years, but I don't think he markets himself very well. Mind you, his book has some popularity to it, but at conventions, etc. So he has sort of a very niche crowd because it is a very,
What is it? What is it?
I know his big one. He has a couple. It's called Changes, and it's the story is about it's a manga style, but his work is very
what X-rated?
More on the writing, we'll say. His work is none of his artwork is not on the strong side, we'll say. But he keeps. I'll say this: he's got a certain stick-to-itiveness. He works on it every day, on something every day, and his big one is Changes. He's had for years, and it is a story of a group of lesbian lovers.
Nice.
And it's very, very risque, shall we say. But it does have an
Is
audience.
this fan fiction come to life?
Yeah. But he's been doing it for a long time. I don't even I think he's on DeviantArt. That's the only place I know that where you maybe might see some of his work. But he's been doing self-publishing for years, and he knows kind of some of the ins and outs about it, but he doesn't really make a whole lot at it. But at the same time, I know he said many times that he does it just for the love of doing it. He likes writing it. He'd never want to put it into the hands of, like, he's scared about getting a publisher that they might want to try and change characters or alter his work.
Yeah.
It's very much his. So he's very protective of it. So I think because of that, he does it because he really loves to, and he's not too worried about what it brings in.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, you kind of need that sort of ethic in general if you're going to work on writing your own stuff. Because if you're really thinking about money and then you're writing towards money, quite often it has like a counterintuitive result where you're not going to get anything for it, you know?
Right.
Because there's this thing about art and authenticity, like people can just smell fakeness. And it's like, if you're really trying to like, yeah, I always use this as an example. It's like Captain Planet is what you get when it's a marketing team trying to pitch to kids. Nobody my age saw Captain Planet liked Captain Planet. We just go, oh, it's animated, so I'll keep it on. But it's like that was never as cool as like the other shows because it was just
never cool, but I loved it so much.
I liked it too because it was like stupid, but I liked it because it was stupid as fuck. But
even as a kid, I recognized it. You know,
have you guys seen? Have you guys seen the Funny or Die bit?
Yeah, with Don Cheadle.
Yeah, fantastic.
I have a quick question. So you guys are saying basically when you say self-published, meaning you found you basically just printed out yourself, really, right? Is that like a shorthand way of saying?
I think that's what Phil was saying.
My roommate goes through Lulu.
Say what?
Oh, my roommate goes through Lulu when he produces his stuff.
Oh, Lulu, but like, is that a company that prints it out or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I guess
kind of like print on demand in a way. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it is print on demand.
I think so. I have to ask him about that because I know sometimes he'll order about 100 books to like take to a convention or something. But
I guess that's my worry. Like printing, like for example, going back to when I made those pencil cases like 7 years ago. What I was worried about was like ordering a bunch of these and like they're stuck in my garage for the next 20 years. You know, that's what I was worried about, right? Like, so the print on demand thing would be pretty if that's a thing.
Yeah, I think if you're self-publishing and you don't have a guaranteed, like, if you haven't built up a fan base where you like know, like, hey, I can move through like 1,000 of these, you know, pretty quick. If you're not in that kind of position, I do think print on demand's a better option. It's going to be less. It's going to be more limited on like what kind of special effects and stuff you can have, and the print quality is going to be like, maybe close. But it's still, you know. Also, if you're going to self-publish, it does help if it's black and white. You know, like the more expensive the printing, the more that print on demand cost is going to be higher. And then as Vince knows, because he worked for a printer, it's like, you know, when you like, if I had like 2,000 comics printed, I'm going to be paying like maybe like 80, 70 cents a comic, maybe 50 cents a comic. Whereas if I ordered 200 or 2,000 print on demand books, right now I'm going to be spending over $2,000. Like it's definitely going to be at minimum like $3 or $4 a book, you know. So, yeah, that would be the difference. But I do think print on demand opens up a lot of options for people. And the thing is, like, I think both kind of work for whatever you're aiming for. Like for me, I want my book in stores. Like that's a huge thing. I want my book in libraries and stores. And so that's the main reason I go with a publisher. Also, I hate the headache of fulfillment. So that's the other. But yeah,
that's a job by itself for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've known some guys who like got, you know, some wild success with self-publishing, and then they end up in this like nightmare scenario where now they're a warehouse worker, you know,
Oh,
is like-
yeah, that's true. Huh?
No shame in being that, but it's just like a lot of people don't imagine that, where they're like, man, I'll sell like 1,000 books, and then now you have to pack and ship 1,000 books, and like deal with returns and all that stuff. Yeah.
I think the one thing I like about the Kickstarter model is for the quality, like, somebody's going to want that, right? Because they, you made a tier, as opposed to like taking a leap and being like, I believe in this, so that kind of, that kind of.
Yeah. I think kickstarting is a really good route as well, and that's like a really cool thing that's opened up a lot of possibilities for indie publishers. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Yeah.
Cool.
Do you hit up conventions a lot too?
Whenever I can. Yeah.
Nice.
So the last one I did was TCAF, and then I was aiming to do Long Beach Comic Con, but it didn't kind of work out. So yeah.
Just say a quick hello here to Chris. Chris has joined us.
Sweet.
Yes, Christopher Runciman, super talented.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Chris is actually from my hometown of London, Ontario. So, but we sort of met through Josh's channel.
Right.
Josh,
he's a good dude.
You're what's your? I mean, I'm sure Phil will give me this later, but I was like to say, what's your YouTube channel? Like, I was gonna.
Oh, my YouTube is just Joshua Kemble, so I think that should get you there. Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah, and I do live streams while I'm working on my my current book. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Wait, how long do you do them for? Do you do them for like an hour or two? Or
they'll be like, sometimes they go like 5 hours. Most of the time, it's like two hours or so. Yeah.
Oh wow.
There's an inside joke behind this, real quick. They're bringing the maple syrup. Just to jump in real quick, I don't want to side rail too much.
No. Let's talk maple.
So
maple syrup for me.
So we were in Josh's chat one night. Our friend Frank, I don't know if Frank's still there or not, but that's Salazar Art Nation, and he was asking me one night about the price of maple syrup here in Canada. And we started this chat because I love maple. I love the flavor of maple, and I always have. And I guess he does as well. And we had this running thing going that both of us were sorry. That we had this thing about having our maple cast and and doing little videos and
so like
messages back and forth about maple syrup and what we can use them in and what it's good for and the different kinds and the prices and where to buy it. And it was this whole thing going about maple. So we have this running.
And they were doing this like long conversation about maple syrup in my live chat. And I was like, so I kind of made a joke that this is like, what is this, like Maple Gate, And then then Frank starts doing posts with hashtag Maplegate. Like, it's so goofy.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, we got this thing going now.
Yeah, waffle all of a sudden. That's all I got.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
This is good information, man.
How many did we have on live this time, by the way? I didn't check. Is it 2 people or 1?
I'm showing 4 viewers at the moment. So
nice.
Changing from 0 to 4, somewhere back and forth from there.
Yes.
Exponential growth.
I was hoping Frank would hang around longer, but I think he's gone.
Frank's probably like on 5 other streams at this moment.
Oh.
The maple propaganda.
Frank just finished. Oh, hi. I never know how to say the whole name. I love
Enrique.
You, and he's also from Josh's channel. How are you?
Yeah, I think Abba just likes going by 7. So
7? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You keep calling me Enrique.
I keep saying I'm so sorry. It's because I knew years ago an Enrique, but you're Enrique, and I got to
Enrique.
Do that.
I was gonna say Enrique.
So
Enrique.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Do that.
Enrique, my mom calls you Enrico every once in a while.
Really? That's a real name. That's a
She's
real
like,
name.
how's Enrico? Yeah, I know it is. It's like, yeah, I tease her about it all the time now.
Chris is like, good. Sorry for derailing. Not at all. He brought a little levity.
I mean, we're
comedy into the show.
It's true. We usually take an hour and a half, right? We're like at the hour and 15, so I mean, we're pretty.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
Yeah,
I'm really
sometimes that time
flexible on
goes
that. If
by.
everybody's enjoying chatting and wants to keep talking, we
Wow.
can. But if you have to
yeah, this is
go,
awesome. I was just like just listen. I felt like I was watching like a, I don't know, like a presentation. Like that's kind of the way I felt. I was
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Hey Phil, has there been any are you still working on Crocs and Socks? Any developments there?
Oh, I don't want to.
it's a secret.
No,
So
you don't wish.
let me try and see if I can make a short version of everything. Because I think you guys know every time I come on, I've complained about something going on in my life. I've had so much shit hit the fan in the last 3 months that everything has gotten set back.
Yeah.
The only thing I decided to pick up on, because I could pick away at it, are these little design ideas that I've had for T-shirts and merch that I can maybe do at conventions for next year.
Mhm.
So I've been working on some fun little things that I can just like that for now. I've been juggling between a couple of ideas because the Crocs with Socks kids book was something I've had, as I said, in mind for quite a while. And but I've also even before that, I've had something that I started a while ago that was something I was thinking of turning into. I wanted to animate it originally, but I don't have the facilities or anything to actually turn it into a full animated show. But it was this thing that I called Star Tales, and it was a sort of comedy space adventure with a dog. And I've had this kind of loosely in the works since like 2002. It started as something that came about in a role-playing game, actually, and the idea I was so amused by that I started fleshing out characters and a full story. I mean, it was like a one-night sitting we did this, but I loved the character I developed so much that I decided to turn this into this whole thing. And I've done like lots of really, really rough pages, full character layouts, a whole thing. But it was just, it kind of got overwhelming in my head. And every time I kind of started with it, I kind of got derailed on it. And then about a year ago, I was talking to somebody about the whole Crocs with Socks thing, and that. So I thought maybe just to get into doing something a little more physical, I thought maybe I should try doing this kids book, because I thought maybe that might be a little easier to start with, get myself in motion, and take about whatever between 6 months and a year to try and put that together, until I found out that Crocs is a copyrighted thing. So that kind of just derailed that for a little bit, and I've been kind of in limbo just at the moment on which way to go with things, whether or not to keep going with that or to return back to my little space adventure that I've been working on for years. So
But what I mean, like Josh, what would you recommend he does? Because I mean, you know more about publishing and stuff. Like, you think he would just, like, if he tries to sell that thing, it gets smashed immediately? Or
well, I think I think
Corey
trademark.
Kerr.
Oh, what's
Sorry,
up?
got Corey Kerr in here. Hi, Corey. Sorry about that. I just wanted to say hello real quick.
I agree with Corey on that, though. I think animating it or like I think I would pick which one's like the smaller project.
Having worked in animation is such a monotonous process.
Yeah.
When I went
that
through
was
school for
Corey
animation,
telling
I
you
grew to
to.
dislike animating, and that's why when I got into business, I started doing layouts because it was faster to do. And one idea I had that somebody threw at me says, why not try like a moving web comic that has sound and music to it? I don't know how that would go over with audiences, but I thought that would be something that'd be a cool thing to do. But I don't know exactly how to market anything like that. So
I would pick one and go with it.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought, and it's just deciding which way to take it. So
yeah, and I would not overthink it. Like, just whatever you pick, just commit to finishing. Like, that's kind of what I recommend, because even if, like, let's say it's the Crocs and Socks thing, it's like that's gonna get you further. Like, just the act of finishing it will, I think, get you a lot further on other stuff too, because you'll have already tasted the experience of finishing a big project.
That's kind of what I thought. Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, you could sell it at the flea market.
Yeah, exactly. Just quietly sell it. I just don't want to get in the wrong hands and then find out that Crocs wants to, like, saying that it's cease and desist order from selling this book.
Yeah.
Crocs has already taken Walmart to court over the making like a knockoff product. So it's like,
Oh yeah. You may have to modify it to not be Crocs, which is a shame.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
Crocs and socks, kind of like Fox and socks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sandals with something. Wait, what were we saying last time? I forgot.
Oh yeah, I was thinking sandal with socks, or yeah, or changing the name, the spelling of the word Crocs or something. I don't know, kind of kicking or something around. So,
That could be doable. There might be a way to do that.
Flip flops and socks. I don't know. Yeah.
Is that the like Josh was saying? Which one's the shorter one, right? I mean, that'd be a good idea to pick the shorter one. Is that what you were saying before? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like the more achievable of the two, tackle that and then get that rush from finishing it. You know,
because Crocs with socks is definitely the short one, because the Star Tales adventures are I have like 5 stories in mind that are like this ongoing thing. Right. It's like I said, I'd always envisioned it more as an animated TV series.
It's like a saga, then I guess it's like it
would be this huge arcing story that would take several books. So I already know kind of the whole thing has actually kind of been laid out, and I just filling in pieces and whatnot to do it. But it's like I said, it's something I've had kicking around since 2002. So.
I mean, I guess you can also take inspiration from your roommate, right? He does finish stuff, even though I know he does a bunch of, what is it, lesbian porno? What is it?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
But he finishes his stuff though, so I mean, maybe you could take inspiration from that.
Yeah.
Crocodiles wearing shoes. Somebody did that. Christopher says crocodiles wearing shoes, and there's actually a book called that. I think Crocs and. Is it Crocs and socks? It was something a bit different, but it was about crocodiles that lost his socks or something. Like that. We were looking for them because I was looking to see if Crocs with socks had been done already. And
yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna laugh if it had been done already. I was like, oh man, that sucks. Like,
especially all the work that you already put into it.
They have it in the bookstore.
I've only done kind of the Crocs with socks. All I've done is kind of draw out the characters a little bit. I was starting to draw the first page, and that's about kind of as far as I got.
Oh, okay.
What do you think of that idea, by the way? Oh, sorry.
I would almost just finish it, just to finish it.
Okay. Finishing stuff definitely has an effect mentally. You know?
The plan was to also watercolor it. I was actually going to do it all by hand. I was watercolor and ink as opposed to doing it digitally on the.
What about Birkenstocks and socks?
That's actually not bad.
That's pretty good.
Not bad at all.
That could actually work.
Yeah. Because that's like another fashion faux pas, right? Like, who wears Birkenstocks and socks? There you go.
He's got a point. He's got a point.
True.
And it rhymes.
Stocks and socks.
I mean, it's longer.
Look into that.
I think it flows.
It's
longer. It flows better.
The problem is, I don't even know if Birkenstocks might be trademarked. You know.
Probably not in my life.
There's already 2 books. Yeah.
I think I imagine a scenario where like Phil's like you're taking the word Crocs out of every word of the book, and it like makes no sense. It's like sandals and nothing rhymes.
Crocs. Yeah.
Oh god. What are you guys doing for the next couple of weeks there? What's up with I want to get an intro for this podcast, Phil.
An intro?
Yeah. I remember we were talking about intros for the podcast.
Oh, like a little video.
And maybe.
Because I was looking into I want to do some little Halloween videos over the month of October. So I was looking into for that little intro for that. But
good idea.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just gonna.
Or we could like dress up. For October or something.
What do you mean?
The hard part is I'm going to be transferring my office up to the upstairs apartment through the beginning of October, so that's going to be a little bit messy for the. I'm getting it repainted and redone, and all this has got to be taken apart and moved upstairs. It might take like a couple of weeks to do that. So,
what do you guys do? Well, what are you gonna do for Halloween, Phil? I mean, after that, because you'll be moved, right? He said by the beginning of October.
Yeah, I just wanted to do just like maybe a video or 2 a week of something like what you do. So just a simple little drawing, like drawing pumpkins, drawing a ghost, drawing a little, just something to kind of get some videos up.
Yeah.
Just do one simple little video, 1 or 2 a week. I thought might be fun because I've wanted to do that for a long time, just to decorate the place up a little bit and just to bring a little bit of attention to the channel. So
yeah, dressed like Dracula.
Yeah.
That's an easy one, man. It's just a great day.
I do
man. It's almost your season.
I do a show called the Artcasters every week.
Oh, nice.
And one of my co-hosts for the Artcasters dressed as Gene Simmons from Kiss on our Halloween, and then he proceeded to do the entire episode as Gene Simmons, like
no kidding,
without breaking character. It was amazing.
That's like serious cosplaying right there.
Yeah. Man, I almost read my mind. I was thinking about being a juggalo, like.
Magnets, how do they work, man? How do they work?
I could see that, man. That would be pretty dope.
I was just thinking of any costume. I mean, we're filming. It's just like from here.
It's all, yeah. It's like top down, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you have to put a tip amount of work, but
you can't wear a mask.
I got my Waluigi hat around here somewhere. You
know. I'm assuming we're gonna end this in 4 minutes, right? Because we always end at the 1.5 mark.
Like I said, I kind of it's up to you. I if people want to stay and chat longer, I'm more than happy to keep it going. If you've got to go, then you know you can close out. But I'll keep it open until.
It's midnight my time right now, and I still got some stuff that I need to go over for them.
Oh my God! Really? You're still gonna work after this?
No, I'm just checking emails and stuff like that. It's only like a couple of minutes, and then I'm just like chilling and go to bed. But yeah, Josh, it was great to meet you, man. Like this is like it came at the perfect time. You know, I'm glad I was able to get on and listen to your feedback, man. It's always great to listen to artists who've like been there and are doing it and like in the middle of it. You know, especially having 2 jobs as well. That's very, very admirable. And it's like, you know, like for me, it's like such an insane time of season for like print and stuff, like trade show season. And we do like apparel and stuff like that too. It's like, yeah, it's like a whole bunch of processes going on and whatnot. But, you know, it's like the amount that you learn is like crazy. It is like I'm learning new stuff like every day. It's great. They're like really flexing those brain muscles, you know?
That's awesome. It was nice meeting you, Vince. It was awesome.
Yeah, you too, man. I hope to see you again on one of these, man. This is like this has been a lot of fun. Just getting feedback from different artists of like different walks of life and stuff like that. But yeah, nice. I'm gonna go ahead out and shut it down. But yeah, thanks. Have a good night, guys.
Good to see you again, Vince. Take care.
Yeah, see you later, man. All right, I'm gonna go as well. By the way, it's late. It's really late here as well. But I mean, it's later over there where you guys are. But I'm also gonna get going. But
you guys actually aren't too far from each other, though. You guys are.
Where are you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm in like LA County.
Okay, I'm in San Diego. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice.
We're in the same time zone, but everything Vince said it too damn well, but everything he said goes for me too. But
nice, ditto. I
was thinking, I was like, damn man, he's saying too much. Like he's saying exactly what I'm thinking. But yeah, same for me. And hope to see you on one of these again. And I'll see you guys later. Okay.
All right. Have a good night, Enrique. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. See you guys.
Cool. Well, I gotta get back to the thumbnail at some point.
If you got to get back to work, I'll let you do that. I'm gonna kind of work on a few things, I think, and just listen to some music until I pass out. So
awesome, Phil. Thanks for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Pleasure. That was great. I'm so glad I had you. We'll have to do this again sometime for sure. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah, and it's kind of a rough one because I wasn't sure. Hopefully, what I was saying was helpful for people. And if you guys ever have questions or anything, don't
Yeah.
feel free, and I'll come back on anytime.
Okay.
So
My goal is to eventually, I'd like this to be something like what you have with
like Scott and Corey.
yeah, I'm the Artcasters.
Mhm.
I'd like something along that lines if I could. So
That's awesome, man.
it'll be once every 3 to 4 weeks though. So right now.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great.
All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. I sure appreciate it.
Thanks to the chats too. Everybody in the chats, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, Chris, it was nice to see you pop in. I think I'm gonna close her out once Josh is off. I'm gonna shut down.
All right.
Evan, nice to see you too.
See you guys.
All right, have a good night, Josh. All right, I'm gonna close her out for the night, but thanks everyone for popping in. It was nice to see you all. So we're probably gonna do this again maybe in about 2 or 3 weeks. We'll probably try and do another one. I know for sure that the Enrique and Vince like to do one about once every 3 weeks. I might have something kind of pop up in between, but I will try and get something. If you're on my my Instagram, I'll try and see if I can put better alerts on my Instagram if I can, and maybe even try and do like a little YouTube short that I can throw up to say, hey, I'm going to be doing this on this night, and then it'll be better kind of to inform people when I can do this. I'd like it to be a regular thing, especially once I get the new office set up. It'll definitely be a regular thing. So yeah, thank you everyone for hopping in. This has been a really good night. It's nice to see this kind of finally starting to build a little bit of steam. So I'm going to shut her down, but thanks again, everyone. And I'll probably see you all over in Josh's chat again at some point. So good night, Seven, and good night, Chris, and whoever else is watching, Frank, whoever, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.